Namaste, my friends. I have an exciting topic for you today. Relocational Astrology and AstroCartography. And in Series 1.3, I'm going to demonstrate some of the concepts and show you what this is all about. The basic idea is that astrologers claim that they can tell you the best places to live, to vacation, to work, for any number of things that you might want to do. They will tell you the best place for that activity. So how do they do this? And I'm one of those crazy astrologers who think this is possible. Well, to demonstrate the ideas, I'll just use Robert Redford's chart. I pulled it up before. Robert Redford. So I just start new. I pull in his data. There he is. I click on done, and I have his chart. Great. So there's Robert Redford, and I have his chart. Now, how am I going to find out how life would be for him, say, in Provo, Utah, where he has a resort just outside Provo? I believe he lives there part of the time. How is that going to work out for him? Could we see that as astrologers? Okay, well, here's the idea, and I know this sounds a little bit weird, but the idea is that you take the time and place that a person was born, and you change the place to the place that you're interested in, but you leave the time the same. Okay? So think about it. There are only two things that create a birth chart: a time and a place. Leave the time the same, but change the place. So basically what you're doing is, if you want to know how life is for Robert Redford in Provo, Utah, you make believe he was born in Provo, Utah. So he's still born at 8:02 p.m. in the clock time where he was born, which is Santa Monica. So if it might be a different clock time in Provo, Utah, or any other place, but we're not talking about clock time. That instant of time that he was born, you make believe he's born in Provo, Utah. And we can go over here, select Relocated Chart, and type Provo, Utah. And then we have that chart, which is handy because if you enter a new chart at that location, you have to make sure that you've adjusted the clock properly. So this just says, this is for Robert Redford. He was born at 8:02 p.m., and we've relocated it to Provo, Utah. So what did it do? Did it make any difference? Well, I can do two wheels next to each other. I can do a pop-up wheel to compare the two charts. Suppose I do two wheels. I go over here to two wheels, and I say put Robert Redford natal on the left, put his relocated on the chart. Because as you know, Sirius, well, if you've watched previous videos, Sirius keeps all the charts. So we're looking at his relocated, there's his natal. It keeps a memory of everything you're doing. I click OK, and there are the two charts, and what happens is the only difference is the house cusps. Using the planetary positions the way astrologers do it, which if you're an astronomer or you know a lot of astronomy, you may think of things like parallax and so on, but in astrology we don't usually include those. So the planet positions are the same. The moon in his natal chart, here on the left, is 19 Virgo 14. It's still 19 Virgo 14 if he was born in Provo, Utah, but the cusps have moved. Instead of about very close to 29 Pisces rising, it's about 11 degrees later at 10 Aries rising. The midheaven has moved from 29 Sagittarius to 5 Capricorn about 6 degrees later. So the cusps have moved, and some of the planets may change house position. We can see here that when he was born, the North Node was just inside the 10th cusp. Now it's moved over into the 9th house. So you may see some changes like that. So, should he move to Provo, Utah? Well, you can look at changes in houses. What a lot of astrologers want to see is whether a planet is on an angular cusp, the 1st, 4th, 7th, or 10th, because there the planet is strong and becomes really highlighted. Or you might want to see if a planet aspects a house cusp. Let's see, do we have any aspects? Well, Venus at 9 degrees Virgo. If he moves a little further, let's say he was moving east, so if he continues moving east till the midheaven gets to 9 Capricorn, Venus would trine that, and you'd have a Venus trine midheaven. So you might wonder, where should he move to get that? Well, that's where the astromaps come in. What an astromap does is it tells you the same thing as a relocated chart, but as a map, so you can see where things happen. Because interestingly, what happens is the places where Venus would trine the midheaven, or the places, let's get an aspect to the ascendant, maybe if we move the ascendant earlier, we could get Mars trine the ascendant, or if we move it all the way to 25 Leo, we get the Sun trine the ascendant. That would be nice, to have Sun trine your ascendant. So we might want to know the places where Sun would trine the ascendant, or Venus trine the midheaven, and that's what an astromap does. Because they happen to form a line. Well, let's see it. You'll see what I mean by it forms a line. I go to astromap, and I say, okay, United States, we're going to do this just lines, basic map, great. This means just give me a basic map with the conjunctions, oppositions only. That will tell me where a planet would be on the angle. I click OK, and it tells me that Provo, Utah, there's nothing going on. But over here near Eureka, California, Moon would be opposite the ascendant. So this is telling me where the planets would be conjunct or opposition. The yellow means the ascendant. Moon opposition means opposite the ascendant, or in other words, conjunct the 7th house cusp going through Eureka. If I want to see those trines I was talking about, like Sun trine the ascendant, well, I can right-click and I could select major aspects, like trines and sextiles and squares. Now, notice it's not bold. This one's bold. Why are these not bold? Because Sirius, which I'm running now, and Kepler works the same way, is not recommending these. Why is it not recommending? Because it's saying you might get too many lines. Well, let's see how many lines we get and see how noisy it is, so to speak. We click, oh, it's noisy. There are all these lines going all over the place, and it gets confusing. So when you add a lot of aspect lines, instead of the problem that we had with just conjunctions and oppositions of mostly empty space, it all fills in. So then you need to zoom in to a smaller area to see all those aspects. So I can right-click, or actually I can click here. It remembers the different map styles. And now I'm back to just the conjunctions and oppositions. If I click here, I could see if I could find, oh, there's that Venus trine the ascendant. Oh no, it was Sun trine the ascendant. Here it is, Sun trine the ascendant. Sun trine coming up through here. I can still follow it. It's, it's noisy, but I see it coming through here. I don't see it going through any major cities. Just west of Rapid City, west side of Rapid City. And that's about it as far as the big cities that show up on this map. And there's Venus trine the ascendant. I think we talked about Venus trine the midheaven. The aspects to the midheaven are these red ones. I don't see it. It's probably here somewhere. There it is, Venus trine. That's the Venus trine the midheaven, and they're vertical. The aspects to the midheaven are perfectly vertical, and it goes, east of Durango, and looks like it's going right through Saskatoon, Canada. Okay, so there you go. It's very cool. Now, to show you that this is actually working, let's go back to this simple astromap, just because it's not so overwhelming with all those lines. And let's relocate his chart to Eureka. And what I'm saying is that Moon will be on the 7th cusp, because the astromap shows me the same exact thing as a relocated chart. You got that? Really important point. Yay! An astromap tells you the same thing as a relocated chart. In this case, we have just conjunctions and oppositions. It'll show us where a planet is on those angular cusps. Here's Jupiter opposite the ascendant on the 7th cusp in Quebec. So we could run Quebec, Canada. But let's do Eureka, California, and look at that moon opposite the ascendant. So I'll go to his natal chart. Oh, by the way, what did I do? I ran the AstroMap on the relocated chart. That wasn't very smart. Actually, you get the same result, fortunately. I'll show you. Here I am back at the natal chart, and if I do an AstroMap, or no orbs, just lines, and click OK, I get the same exact map. So it didn't matter. I actually selected it for the relocated chart. It didn't matter. Moon is opposite the ascendant going through Eureka. So now I'm on his natal chart. It says natal chart up in the upper right corner. I'm looking at his natal chart. Let's relocate it. So I've already relocated it to Provo, Utah. Now I'm going to relocate again, this time to Eureka, California. And there it is, Eureka, California. And why am I relocating to Eureka? Because the AstroMap said moon will be opposite the ascendant, and there it is, my friends. The ascendant at 19 Pisces 01, the moon is just above it. It's not exact, it's 13 minutes, and that's because it went not right through the heart of Eureka, as you remember. Go back to his chart, look at the AstroMap. It's going slightly east. If I zoom into California, I can do that by clicking place here, or I can right-click, doesn't matter. Got these cute little icons here. People ask for that, although you can just right-click, which is fast anyway. California. So there's California. Click OK. Now I can see a zoom in to that. And notice when we zoomed in, all these little towns were added. So Kepler does the same thing. It'll automatically add more towns. That's handy. So you zoom in, and you can see it's just a little east. Well, that's enough east to make the moon not exactly on the ascendant when we're right here on that dot. So in his relocated chart, relocated for Eureka, it's 13 minutes. 19 Virgo 14, moon, 19 Virgo 01. So, we have learned a lot in a few minutes here. What we've learned is astrologers pick out places to live or visit or vacation or work according to setting up the chart as if you were born in the place. And there's this cool thing called an AstroMap, which will show you where planets are conjunct the angular cusps or aspecting them. Okay, so there we go. That's it. If you want to know about a specific place, you can do the relocated chart. If you want to see good places, you can select the AstroMap. But there's a wrinkle, my friends. Let me show you the wrinkle to this. I'm going to go back to his natal chart, click on the map. Okay, I've shown you that in Eureka, California, Robert Redford has moon opposite the ascendant, which in other words means on the 7th house cusp. I can see it on the map. I can see it in the chart wheel. The map and the chart wheel tell me the same exact thing, just two different pictures of it. The chart wheel is nice to get the details for the place, and the map is nice to see all the places. Actually, I can click on the map. I can click on the map to get an interpretation, to get a wheel. I can also get distances between places, which is kind of handy. But the main thing is the interpretation and the wheel, also just to move this thing around. But let's leave it, let's change it to wheel. And now it says as you move the mouse, you will see the latitude and longitude. It's saying as I move the mouse up here, it shows the latitude, longitude, and the relocated ascendant midheaven. See that? Now if I click right on the yellow instead of on the dot, I will get a pop-up wheel, which I can drag around, and the moon 19 Virgo 14, and now the 7th house is 19 Virgo 12. I've got it down to 2 minutes. So clicking right on it, to the accuracy that I was able to click on that line, obviously I didn't do it perfect. I could zoom in and get it even more perfect. it's now within 2 minutes, whereas before it was 13 minutes. I'll show you. I'll just zoom in. I can zoom in here. Zoom, zoom. I can scroll to the left. I can scroll down, these typical things that you can do. And I could zoom in more. Plus sign, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. So you keep zooming. And I could now I can do it more accurately probably. Click right on that yellow. And that was good. Now I've got 19 Virgo 14, 19 Virgo 14. So anyway, that's the chart wheel for that point I clicked on. So I'm just showing that this line is where the moon is exactly on the 7th house cusp. And I can click anywhere on it. If I click up here, it'll still be 19 Pisces 14 rising, but the midheaven will change. Let me go all the way down here. I'll see, click right about, I might be a minute or two off. Let me click right there, and I got it perfect again. I got 19 Pisces 14, but the midheaven moved. Here it's 23 Sag 57. Up here, I've moved 1 minute, almost identical. 19 Pisces 15 instead of 14, but my midheaven's moved about a degree up to 24 Sag. The point I'm making is that this line is where the moon is exactly opposite the ascendant, and I can get a pop-up relocated wheel. Let me close that little thing, that little window, just so we can look at this map without having that distraction there. And so this line is where the moon is exactly opposite the ascendant. So Mercury opposite the ascendant, this would be a great place for communication. So goes right through Gold Beach, that'd be Oregon. I mean, now across the border here into Oregon. So right through Gold Beach, California, Oregon. So it's handy. The astro maps are really nice. Now let me show you the wrinkle. The wrinkle is this. Well, it's not really a wrinkle in the sense that what I've shown you is correct. Everything's fine. But it's an additional interesting thing, which is some astrologers don't do their astro maps this way. They do them differently. And I'm going to right-click. I could also and type United States. And let's do the basic map. Okay, just to get our perspective of the whole United States again. And let's take the moon going through Eureka, just east of Eureka. Moon opposite the ascendant going through Eureka. Now, there's another way to do astro maps, which is called in mundo. In the in mundo approach, the map does not match the chart wheel. And you may say, well, that's weird. Why do I want that? If a relocated chart is what this is all based on, why would I not want my astromap to show me that? Well, it's just another way to do it. So one thing for sure is this map that's based on longitude, if you believe in relocated charts, then you must believe in the map, this astromap, because it's telling you the same exact thing. There's another astromap that may also be important. In fact, it's the astromap that first became popular, and it's called AstroCartography, and let me show you how it works. I can right-click, as usual, anywhere on my report, and I'm going to go to Customize, and Features of all astromaps. I get a pop-up window. It says the next screen allows you to change technical features of all of the astromaps. Any changes you make will apply to all astromaps. Okay, well that's good, because I don't want to just change this one. I'm changing the settings of these astromaps. And my maps with no orbs, I'll show you what that means in a second, can be longitude or in mundo. Now, this is the normal or typical in mundo. There's a few ways to think about in mundo, but this is your typical in mundo. And down here is a little description of what in mundo means. It's a scrolling thing you can read. But I'll tell you what it means. You don't have to read that. So we select in mundo. If we do in mundo, this is for maps with no orbs. I can also, for my fixed star maps, maybe I'll have some future videos on advanced astromap features in Sirius. But for now, I'm selecting in mundo for maps with no orbs. This already has in Mundo selected, but I'm not doing that anyway. So I click OK, and now if I click OK, I'm going to get this same astro map, but it will be in Mundo. I'll explain what in Mundo means, but one step at a time here. So I'm going to show you the in Mundo version of this astro map. I click OK, and you may not have noticed it, but what happened, and it may be very difficult for you to read on the low resolution, reduced size of the video, but this says Mercury opposite and Neptune opposite going through the west side of Eureka, and the moon disappeared. Where, oh where is the moon? It's gone. Maybe I'll zoom out a little bit. So we zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Maybe we'll find that moon. I'll click OK. And we see that that moon is way out here, way off the land, out in the ocean. So it has changed. The in Mundo has changed. So I'm going to finish up here and continue with another video to explain a little more about why that changed. But that's the in Mundo version, also known as the AstroCartography. I think that's enough for one lesson. That was a lot to absorb, and I'll continue with a future video, explains more about what in Mundo is. Okay, thank you very much. Namaste.